Hi there, it's Ricky of Moshville Times once again. Tonight I'm delighted to welcome London-based metal band Harbinger. Tonight we've got bassist Chris and we've also got the drummer Joel. So how are you guys doing? How have you been since lockdown? Like you haven't had any problems with COVID or anything like that? Your friends and family been okay?
Yeah, all been good. It's been good progress.
Band-wise, we've been kind of just cracking on in the background. All sort of friends and family have been okay. We've not really been touched by COVID. Actually, our guitarist Ben caught COVID for a little while, but he like isolated and you know, all of that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, like everyone's absolutely sound, so we're in a good place. Excellent.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much for that. So with the lockdown and the shit year that's been 2020 and some of 2021, it's extremely pleasing to hear that you guys have been busy at it and have a number of songs ready for a new release. So is this going to be in the form of an EP, or are you going to release your second album?
We're sort of undecided if it's going to be an EP or a mini album. It's definitely going to be a shorter record than our previous ones for sure. I don't know, Chris, can I talk too much on the plan of it? Because we've definitely got a plan set up for it. I just don't want to. We definitely don't want to give away too much too soon.
Yes. So what we can say about it is we're taking the. We don't want to drop a whole album all at once. I mean, like we noticed for sort of marketing type trends from the last record, the tail end of the record wasn't particularly. Didn't have as high numbers as the first half, so we're kind of going to be releasing things sequentially, and we're going to build up to either this mini album or this sort of EP. But yeah, we're not quite sure how we're branding that one yet, but we'll see.
It's quite strange. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, the world's definitely changed. I mean, for me, an album's got like when I obviously review stuff from Moshville Times as well. And for me, an EP, it could be absolutely brilliant and you want more. Oh, that's it, finished. And an album's got a beginning, middle, and an end. But with the way the world is just now, some bands are just releasing a single or two songs every couple of months, just keeping the name out there. So I can imagine it's a wee bit of a dilemma as to what a band wants to do next.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're working with Public City PR for the next record. Absolutely fantastic people. So we're working hard with them at the moment on sort of release campaign and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it sounds as if there's going to be big things for Harbinger. See, the more I say it, the more I'll get it right. I'm telling you, I'm chuffed.
Just keep saying the name, man. Just keep saying it. It'll stick.
Yeah, that just makes perfect.
Excellent. So for those that are new to the band then, how would you say the sound compares to your debut album, Compelled to Suffer? And do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for with this new material then?
I'll hand over to Joel on this one, mate. He's pretty good with words for describing music stuff. He comes up with some absolute corkers as well, so I'm interested to hear what he's got to say.
Every now and then. I'd say it's a real... It's so like easy to go down that typical route of going like, oh yeah, this is our next best record. It's such an improvement from the last, but like as musicians, you always want to like just improve yourself and your music and your craft. So like it is definitely an improvement, but it's great for us because we've really had a lot just with the lockdown and everything and writing behind closed doors. We've just like had so much more time to experiment, and also with our new vocalists in the works as well. Who we are looking to announce soon. We've had more experimentation of that, different ideas. It's just all that typical talk of like the next projects. But we're just so genuinely excited and pleased and proud of ourselves for the new project.
Would you say it's faster, slower? Have you got any ballads in there, or you bring in your glam metal?
I'll tell you what. There is a ballad in there. There's going to be a ballad for sure.
Are you going to be doing backing vocals? You're going to be doing backing vocals?
Tell you what, doing backing vocals and trying to drum at the same time is just near impossible for me. I've given it a go, but I think Charlie, our guitarist, has actually done a little bit of vocals on the record, so that'll be his little vocal debut.
Do you know something? It's something like that I like to see in a live front, especially. It's more than one vocalist. I just think it adds so much diversity and power to a song. I remember seeing Nile and he had 3 vocalists, and I just went, oh, I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, looking forward to see what it brings. But you guys are quite lucky as well, because you, imagine, Chris, you've got your bass at home with you, and I see your electrical drum kit behind you, Joel. Like there were bands that I've interviewed already that didn't have access to their equipment. So you've had that chance to experiment and stuff. So have you personally listened to new sounds, Joel, and have you brought that into the new Harbinger release?
I wouldn't say new sounds. I've actually really just gone more into like older stuff. Like I've since going into the lockdown, I really got into Rammstein, like just so much. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because I really, really like industrial metal. Like Fear Factory is my favorite band of all time. So then I remember like on Spotify, their second album Zainzuk just came up as like a suggested. So I was like, oh, check it out. And then all of a sudden I wrote, well, I didn't write it myself, but I wrote drum parts specifically inspired by like that album. And hopefully it'd be cool. It'd be cool if people notice that on the record. But yeah, they've had like such a mad influence on my side of the writing for the next project that we're doing.
Cool.
That's exactly right. Like Joel's brought so much of that industrial metal stuff into the drum writing, where there's also like a lot of sort of odes to like Slipknot and sort of that more sort of late 90s sort of vibe, early 90s sort of vibe. And it's just,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot more like bounce in this next record for sure, because like you said, like, is anything just faster, anything slower? I'd say bounce is good. A good use of word for that.
So you won't get anybody in the crowd just standing like that, then you'll be forcing them to move.
That's my aim. That's my aim as a musician. If you can't get people moving, what's the point of doing it, especially as a drummer? So, you know, if you've got music which is just like all the way through, people are going to stand there, but like, oh wow, that's great. Like, I'd love it just to see people losing themselves to our music. That's, for me, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. We were at rehearsal. We were at rehearsal at the weekend, and we played one of the new songs for the first time in a room together. And I absolutely couldn't help myself. Literally, we dropped straight into it, and I couldn't stop moving. I genuinely couldn't stop moving. I was just absolutely feeling it, just like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And that's me talking about my own. But you've got to be your own biggest fan, because otherwise, you're like, how do you expect anybody else to like what you're doing if you're not like super into it? So yeah, I think that's something that we've brought with the new material, is everybody is so like on it and invested in it and loves it, and there's no queries or qualms with any of it. Like we're all so tight as a unit. And we're all just like super. There's not even a single like little bit of a song where anyone's a little bit dissatisfied with it. I think that's the step up that we've seen from the last record. It's that kind of cohesion and unity as a group.
Excellent. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to hearing the new material. But Joel, with Chris's moving about and everything like that, when he was playing the new songs, was he trying to hide the mistakes that he was making?
Well, he was definitely sat down for most of the session looking at his laptop, looking at the tab books that we've been doing as well. So that might be the answer.
I was revising.
He is right though. Like I know the exact thing that he was on about when we were playing the new songs. I had like a smile on my face the whole time, like going over the old songs. I was like, I've been doing this muscle memory, it's okay. But as soon as we got into the new songs, I was just like, I am so ready to play these songs live. Like, let me get on stage and just hit drums as hard as I can. I just want to do it.
Well, we're going to talk about gigs later on, but I'm certainly looking forward to hearing the new material. I'm also like a DJ for Moshville Radio. We just started doing this in the last couple of months, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So whenever you've got a song ready, you know exactly where to send it, and we'll certainly give it a hell of a lot of airplay, because you're certainly getting me excited to hear it. So excellent. But also with the restrictions then, you had all this time and you had ideas flying about. How did you communicate your ideas to each other then?
So we're a bit like nerdy and lame about this. So we've been kind of using Facebook Messenger to chat to each other and stuff, but we've got like a Discord server that Joel set up where we've got all of our channels like really nicely organized now. We've got a project management app. We're using Trello to keep track of stuff. We've been using Zoom for our sort of band meetings and stuff. And also taking that a little step further with like recording and stuff. We've been doing loads of the production ourselves. and then like farming it out to somebody we can talk about if we get onto it, to kind of put the final touches to it and make it sound absolutely insane. So yeah, we're well invested in the whole kind of digital platform running of a band.
It's kind of funny that though, like 18 months ago, you wouldn't have even thought about it. But it's just, but sometimes change is good. And I think it's brought you a lot closer to the fans, and certainly doing a lot more of this and stuff. It's a lot more easier to reach. But Joel, is Chris the type of guy that would send you like a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Definitely not, but I'm the kind of guy to do the exact same thing to everyone else. Like there's been so many times where I've like just messaged Ben and Charlie, be like, check out this riff, check out this idea, oh, check out this drum part, oh, I'm gonna put this drum part in this part of the record, and then they're just like, I'm sleeping, fuck off, like, you know. But I don't care because I'm happy and excited about it. So they eventually see it the next day and they're like, okay, that's kind of cool, try it. If
you've got a good idea, you've got to let people hear it. So that's their problem, man. That's their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going back to just a couple of months ago, actually, you released an instrumental version of the album Compelled to Suffer in June of this year. So was that just, what was the idea of releasing an instrumental of the album then? Was it a case of just letting everybody know that Harbinger are alive and well?
Well, it was a little bit of that, but that wasn't the main driver of it. So we have wanted to do an instrumental version of Compelled to Suffer for quite a while, and we wanted to tie it in with a release of a physical tab book.
Yeah.
So we decided to, like, we're going really DIY with a lot of things that we're doing at the moment. So we wanted to like make a tab book from scratch, all the research and development into printing, like lithographic, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff going on, emails flying about from advice from all sorts of people. And we tabbed out the whole record. And the process just took so long, because we're complete noobs at it, that we finally wound it up and we were like, right, we're going to release this tab book. We're going to have this instrumental to accompany it. And that's kind of why the instrumental record came out. So, yeah.
Was it actually different to the album? Did you change parts of it?
No. So we went back to the producer. So that was Merrick at Floodgate Audio. And he just did a sort of like a remix, rebounce of the record without vocals. No, there's nothing different on there. No, not that I can think of. No.
All right, cool. No, I just wondered. That's great. Thanks very much.
I'd like to call it the mum-friendly version as well, because my mum's had a little listen and she's like, "This is really nice, like without the really angry singing." I'm like, yeah, cool. You don't
like
get it, but that's wicked that you've checked it out, Mum. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what can put people off this vocal style, you know, but it just is what turns me on. It's certainly for a limited market, but they don't realise that it's a highly talented art form. It's not just a case of like putting a microphone in front of your face and just growling into it or shouting into it. It's a highly talented art form. So, but yeah. With everything, again, just with everything that's happened in the last 18 months then, has it made you look more at the business side of the band? Like, have you done things differently, like to keep the name out there, a wee bit more marketing that you guys hadn't done yourselves, or selling more merch that you normally wouldn't do? Has it made you look at things differently?
There are, our guitarist Charlie's been big on the sort of, you see, I don't know too much about it. It'd be good to have Charlie here, but unfortunately he's a guitar teacher. He's teaching at the moment. But he's been doing a whole lot more of that digital marketing stuff. So using like Facebook Ads Manager and, you know, Google Analytics and all that sort of stuff, and bringing all that in. But we've been kind of very under the radar during COVID. I mean, we released the instrumental album. We released the tab book. We released some football shirts in a collaboration with The Terrace, who are like a sport merchandising company.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've been very quiet because we've been working on the record, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't really like tided ourselves over in keeping our name in people's mind. But we're just hoping that the record itself will, you know, get us back into people's heads. So.
I'm sure it will. I mean, you've certainly got a large following as it is. So, and that's without doing anything really recently. So everybody will be excited to hear what you're going to do next. So certainly am as well. But with the recording of Compelled to Suffer then, will there be anything that you will do differently for your next release? Like maybe the way it was recorded, or who's doing it for you, or like, are you doing it like you say? Are you doing more of it yourself?
Go on, Joe, you can talk about this.
Yeah, we've gone completely like, aside from the drums, because I physically don't have a place that I can go and take my drums and recording equipment to do it. Aside from the drums, the whole of this record is like completely DIY. So because with like, I mean, we live in a digital age now, so you know, if you want to record guitars and vocals, you can just set up with like an interface, record, slap bang, there you go. And Ben and Charlie really were just like, we're going to do it ourselves, because, you know, being in COVID and in the lockdown and everything, money's tight for everyone.
Yeah.
So to save a little bit of cash, it's like, let's just record the guitars ourselves. And I don't want to speak too much on the vocals, because that could be a big giveaway on who it is. But yeah, guitars, bass, and vocals. Obviously, Chris can talk more on more of his experience on it, because he was there with Charlie doing it. But those guys smashed it out. They were on it like 8 to 10 hours a day, all day, didn't stop, didn't take breaks, and did all the editing themselves, and really just smashed out the park. Whereas myself, I booked up with Stu from Studio 6, which is where we did our second record, Human Dust, just a little EP. Because I just really enjoyed working with Stu, and the what's the right word here? The quality of the drum sounds that he gets. Like, one thing that was important for me was like, let's just get a sick drum sound and really try and smash it out of the park with that and have fun with it. And yeah, working with him was great again. So aside from the drums and a little bit of the vocals, everything was very DIY this time.
Cool. And do you think that's the way that it's going to go going forward then?
I hope so.
I mean, with the recording of the...
We'll make...
Sorry.
Oh yeah, we've definitely like found like learning experience through it, like not to quad track the entire record on guitars and just double track it just to save time. I think Ben and Charlie nearly went insane trying to quad track the entire record, but they stuck it out, and fair play to them for doing it.
Yeah. The thing with quad tracking is it's not just twice as difficult as double tracking. It's like 8 times as difficult, because you've got to get all of the takes exactly the same as each other. So yeah, it's crazy. Don't really know why we did it, but we did it. Quad track the guitars, and we'll probably never do it again, but they sound incredible. So so we're happy we did it. And we're also the sort of next bit after the recording is sending it away for mixing and mastering, and we've gone with Jacob Hansen over in Denmark for that. And that's one of the benefits of doing it all digitally and doing it ourselves, is we can reach out. We had a short list of some crazy producers that were just, we're not going to talk about the people that we didn't go with, but people were coming back to us, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the person that broke this, you know, enormous band into the mainstream, and they've come back to it. This is crazy. But we looked at the work that Jacob Hansen did with Discarnate and with Black Dahlia Murder. Wow. Joel, are there any other references you can think of? Because they're my main two, and I can't remember any of them.
He does Volbeat as well.
Yeah, he does Volbeat as well, which is cool. Yeah, I think he did the last he did for them was a live album for him. But like, we were able to do that because we've not limited ourselves with like trying to stay in the UK. We've gone, right, let's reach out to all these crazy producers and see what we can do. Like, find some people that we really, really like, you know, are fans of personally. So yeah, we've got the same producer as the Black Dahlia Murder did on the last record. I just can't fathom it still. Like, I think about it and I'm like, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Well, certainly looking forward to hearing how it sounds. But when you were recording everything, then was it? Were there any arguments? Did you manage to keep it all together? Especially
really
when you were quad tracking.
I don't think so. No, like we were because we were all like split apart. Like, everyone couldn't be there on the same sort of days. Like, I remember Ben came down just to sort of sit in on the drum sessions because
supervise you.
Sort of, yeah.
Look after you. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Make sure I'm playing the right stuff. Yeah. So he would come down and sit on the drums, and then I remember we went back to like the hotel room that we were staying at, and we were just getting some dinner, and then he was just like, "Oh, do you want to hear like the guitars that we've been doing?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, fine, yeah." And he just opened it up, and then he showed me the how the guitars were sounding, like before any mixing or mastering, obviously, because they weren't even ready for it. But I was just like, this sounds so sick. Why haven't we been doing this before? Like, just the quality of the work that the guys were doing on the guitars was just like above and beyond for me. So I was just like, I am really happy that we've done this and taken this DIY step and not decided to go and work with someone else directly. Like, it's definitely something we, not just us, but other musicians can do themselves.
Imagine it's a wee bit of self-reflection as well. If you can clearly see that the guitarists have raised their level, then it's important for you to raise your own level. So it's putting a wee bit of pressure on you yourself as well, eh?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool. So that's what I was going to ask. So have you had a chance, like when we could meet up and things like that, were you in the studio like a couple of times a week again for a few months, or have you not really been meeting up that much, or what's been happening in terms of the studio and rehearsing?
We've met up a few times, like when there was sort of like the when like we could actually go and see each other, when the lockdowns were like lifted and then re-put on, we sort of took advantage to have like little group therapy sessions, meeting up and discussing the projects. But even at times when we couldn't see each other, I remember I was at work just on my lunch, and Charlie, so 5 of the songs that we've got, there's, kind of gave it away then, 5 of the songs that we've got, all really like long drawn out process, really put thought and effort into them. And then one of the songs literally Charlie wrote just on a day and was like, check this out. And I had to listen to it and I was like, wow, this is great. Let's go with that. And then we were discussing one time on my lunch just like how to change an idea, and he just like sent like a phone recording against one of his speakers, like, I've got this riff, what do you think of it? And I was like, that's the next best thing since sliced bread, please put that on the record. But yeah, communication has been surprisingly top notch for us. We've all been just on it.
That's cool. That's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you negotiate what stays in and what stays out of a song? I mean, you're all obviously very talented musicians, and you've all got your own influences. So how do you bring it all into the one shell?
We kind of do the same as we do with any of the sort of products that we make. So if it's a piece of merch, or if it's, you know, some artwork or a video, we tend to have one person whose idea it is, who kind of leads with it, and then they kind of get command veto on stuff. So if I'm like the lead on a music video, and people would bring suggestions to me, and then I'd be the one kind of saying like, yeah, we should do this, yeah or no, yes or no, or that sort of thing. And it's kind of the same with songs. What will usually happen is it will start with some guitar riffs. There'll be some basic drums put down to it. There won't be any bass, but that'll get sent around to everybody, and then we'll just have kind of an open discussion and go, right, well, I think this would work, I think this would work, and then the person who's kind of the lead on it will go, oh, that's not kind of what I had in mind for it, or, you know, if we're going to rework the drums, can we make sure like listen to like 4 Gojira albums in a row, please, because that's the kind of thing we're going for, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, we tend to just have a lead person who kind of project manages the whole thing. And Joel has taken the lead on quite a few bits for this record. And I think it's fair to say that Joel had a little bit less of an active part prior to COVID, but I think he's had a bit of time to reflect and stuff, and really bring some really creative, decent ideas to the forefront. And we've really embraced it, I hope. Christ,
a drummer got many ideas for the band and things like that. That's pretty much unheard of, to be
honest.
Who'd have
thought?
He can count to 5 as well. It's crazy.
But to be honest, I'm quite disappointed with your answer, guys, because I was expecting like blood on the walls and fisticuffs in the studio and things like that. But it sounds as if you guys are really quite a tight unit. I think you've pretty much been together since the start, haven't you? Apart from a vocalist, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, we have our bickering sessions for sure, and then we just sort of go away and come back. It's like, yeah, that was a really dumb conversation. Let's just move on and crack on with it, sort of thing. I think we've definitely matured with each other a lot over the years.
Yeah.
The amount of apologies that come out of any band meeting, if there's any disagreement, it's literally just us, like, in a really kind of wholesome way, being like, I'm sorry if I upset you, dude. And then like the other person will be like, oh no, I thought I upset you. That's cool, man. Yeah. It's really, really lame and like kind of cute in a weird way.
But also, just something that came into my head there, you're obviously quite up with it in relation to technology then, but you also mentioned that you were quite quiet on the social media front. Did the idea of like a virtual gig or like doing a stream from your rehearsal room, was that ever talked about? Did you consider it?
Yeah, the problem with that is like the thing we really thrive off is the audience. Being able to do a proper live show without an audience wouldn't really hit too right, I don't think, for us. So we were looking at a few different options when the lockdown sort of restrictions were easing, like how can we get people into a room, make it COVID safe, and in the end, like we were kind of coming up with these ideas for shows, and then we were like, why don't we just crack on with recording the EP, slash mini album slash whatever it becomes. Why don't we just crack on with that, because it's not going to be the same. Yeah. Unless we can. The closest we got to in terms of like being able to follow the right restrictions was, full COVID protocols, and it's, a live music video, and everybody who attends is an extra in the movie, and like it's just like, come on, you're just trying to get through all the red tape, and it's just not worth it after going through it all.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of bands do it. You can see how it works, but you can also see how it doesn't work. It must be a strange feeling knocking your pan in, and you're waiting for the round of applause at the end of the song, and it's not there, But
that happens sometimes at our shows anyway, mate. Don't worry about it.
I doubt that very much. But you mentioned there that there's 5 songs then. So I take it you've got the lyrics for these songs. How is Harbinger a band where all members contribute to the lyrics, or is there only like 1 or 2 people that focus on the lyrics then?
Joel, you got this one, mate.
So on our last project, our old vocalist Tom basically just wrote everything, and obviously like we would like maybe try and have input, or like we'd read the lyrics that he'd done, but no one was sort of like, oh yeah, like that's cool, no one really like disliked or like really liked anything. It was like, yeah, it's Tom's thing, he's the vocalist, let him deal with it. Yeah. I'm the drummer, let me deal with my parts. Chris is the bass player, let him deal with his parts, and then Ben, Charlie, and whatnot. Whereas this record, it was we really decided that like everyone should have input into everything, and like lyrically, I've had a really big. Well, I don't want to say really big because it's not that big, but I've had a big part in helping our new vocalist come up with like lyrics essentially in the songs, because they were having some sort of like writer's block for a while, and I was just like, I'm going through personal shit right now. I want to get stuff off my chest. Can I write some lyrics? They were like, oh yeah, absolutely, go for it, try it out, and did that, and now I've got like 1 or 2 stories in the EP from my side, and then obviously our vocalist gets to sing it and express it.
Cool. Chris, I'm running out of superlatives for this guy. He's a drummer, he's a multi-instrumentalist, and he writes lyrics. I don't think I've heard of this before.
He thinks it's great, doesn't he? No, honestly, Joel has had such an integral like role within this new record, and I feel like we're a lot better for it. It's not just all of the stuff that you mentioned there. It's the artwork direction. He was the sort of lead director on one of the music videos that's going to come out for it, for one of the tracks as well. So absolutely, without like sticking my nose up his arse, hats off to Joel on this one.
I was trying to say, like, did you threaten to sack him or something like that? And he's, I better do something then. No,
not quite.
Nah, good stuff. So obviously, with what's happening within the band in terms of vocalists, then have the lyrical themes changed from previous releases? Would you say?
I wouldn't say the sort of general themes have changed too much. Like, we've always had quite a sort of nihilistic kind of lyrical themes, but with an undertone of hope to it. And that sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud.
It's a power metal album.
yeah, for sure. But there's always been this sort of undercurrent of like, the world is shit, but you can play a part to improve it for people. And if you go back to even to our first ever single, like 2015, 2016, it was quite a while ago, like that was called Human Wisdom, because it's all about how humans can be the change that they want to see in the world, you know, like that kind of turn of phrase.
Yeah.
So we've kind of still got that running through all the new songs, but we've just got some new experiences added to the pot from our new singer. So you'll hear some new stories, you'll hear things framed slightly differently, but the undertones are still very much us.
Champion. Excellent. Thank you for that. Also, you were saying about a video coming out soon. Is this something that you've done yourselves as well? Like, did you think of maybe like releasing more videos for Compelled to Suffer, but COVID put it to that, like a lyric video even?
So we were kind of winding up the release cycle for Compelled to Suffer. Yeah. And then our singer told us that he wanted to leave the band. And then, so that was all cool. And we were like, right, well, that's that book closed. And we started working on the new stuff. So what we're looking to do is always have an accompanying piece of media that goes with each song. Yeah. So we want to have like a video of some sort, whether it's a lyric video, live, like music video, and that sort of thing, for every single song that we release. And that helps from a marketing perspective, but also I feel like that really helps do the songs justice as well. Yeah. So the video I was talking about as well, we really like to, when we're hiring people to help us out with stuff, so like hiring a videographer, we like to use people that we know, make sure that money is not going to sort of big corporations. It's going to go to independent filmmakers. It's going to go to independent studios. It's not going to go to these big sort of conglomerates. Although the budget's quite small because we're funding everything ourselves, you know, we haven't got a label or anything, but we always try our best to kind of pay our way with that. We think it's really important, and we tend to see that respect come back to us when we get offered shows and stuff. Like, we haven't had a show offer that we've kind of gone, you know, play for free, but you get a few sandwiches and a bag of crisps. Like, we've not had that for a little while, and I think that mutual respect between us as creatives and the creatives we work with, I feel like that's kind of radiating from us. Well, I hope it is.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that, Chris. Thank you. That's great. So thanks very much for that, guys. So obviously, again, for every single band, it's been a tough 18 months to 2 years. So what gigs or tours got shelved towards 2020, maybe the first half of 2021 as well? And what have you got planned for maybe the remainder of this year?
We've got a few bits and pieces. Like, the only thing that we've kind of carried over from pre-COVID is Badgerfest. But we've also got a show, Revive Fest, I think it's called, in Manchester in a couple of weeks. That looks really decent. Really excited to play that. That's our first one back. We're playing a Heavy Metal Festival in the Netherlands next month. We'll see how that goes, but it's looking pretty promising. Good. So it looks like that's going to happen. But we haven't got a whole lot planned. We've been in the sort of writing phase, haven't we? So we're hoping to tour this record when it comes out. We're hoping to kind of just get back into it as the world opens up.
So when are you thinking of releasing the EP then? Is it going to be towards the end of the year and tour after that, or is it just going to be another month and tour after that, or is it going to be the beginning of next year?
So our release campaign's looking at the moment kind of like we're going to release a series of singles and then at the end release everything as a package, but we need to make sure we leave enough time between the singles so that we can, you know, this sounds really sad and nerdy, but we need to make sure we hit the algorithms right. So we need to be leaving like 6 to 8 weeks between the tracks to make sure that we're not trying to get onto every Spotify playlist every single month, because they'll just get sick of us. But also because during COVID, people have been writing a hell of a lot of music. Now, this is one of the benefits of working with people as great as Public City. They know what's going on in the music industry. So we're never going to drop our record the same time as somebody else who would be like kind of competing with for listens. So we've got quite a flexible timeline for it. So at the moment, we're kind of looking at, you know, the end of the first quarter next year, probably, for it all to kind of come together into that one piece.
Okay. No, that's excellent. Thank you very much for that. But we also mentioned Badgerfest there, so you must be looking forward to playing Badgerfest.
Yeah, absolutely buzzing for that. We're playing with our friends God Eater. They're from Glasgow. Absolutely cracking band. Love those guys so much. Our boys in Borders are playing as well. It's just going to be like seeing all the old friends again. It's going to be like our post-COVID reunion with a whole lot of friends. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, you just more or less answered my next question. So who are you looking forward to seeing? So we'll go to Joel with that then and see if you can come up with different answers, Chris. But we'll go to you, Joel. Is there any bands in particular that you're looking forward to seeing?
Literally just God Eater. Like, they're just like the soundest Scottish people that we've ever toured with or even like met. Like, and I've met some pretty fucking nice Scottish people, which is a rare thing to say.
How very dare you?
But they're just the nicest guys and such amazingly talented musicians. Like, I don't think they get enough credit that they actually deserve. And like, their latest, not the latest single they put out, but the one they put out before that, I think it's called You're No Exception. No, You're No Exception is such a corker of a song. Like, I can't believe it hasn't got more attention. It's so good, and it's they've done the perfect job with it as well, because like it's like what we were talking about earlier, with like people doing releases and stuff. One thing which I was going to mention was like, people nowadays, especially since being in the lockdown, people have got really short attention spans. And they put out just like, I think that single's like only 2.5 minutes long, which like for a first single is like perfect. And again, the song is so sick, and I definitely can't wait to hear that live, and I hope they play it. If not, I'll be having words with them.
I like A Pale Shadow as well. But I've interviewed the guys. They're a great bunch of guys as well. But just because of your wee jest there about us Scots, I don't know if you've noticed it in the news and stuff like that, you won't be able to get into England, Scotland, because we've built the wall back up again. So we're not going to let you in. So you won't be playing Glasgow or Edinburgh or whatever. No, but yeah, God Eater are a good bunch of guys. What about yourself, Chris?
Well, the question, who am I looking forward to see?
Yes.
yeah, sure. I think Raging Speedhorn are still on the bill.
Yes,
they're still on the bill. Yeah, I mean they're sort of like local boys from where I was brought up, so up in the Midlands. So they're always incredible, like such a party vibe whenever they're on. Really excited for them. And then and Borders as well. Yeah, we played with Borders quite a few times. They're a really, really decent band, so definitely another one to check out.
Yeah, I'm going to be interviewing Borders later on in the week. So, but there's also a good Scottish contingent coming down. There's Ramage Inc., Iron Altar and stuff like that. So there'll be plenty more Scottish accents to try and understand at Badgerfest. But it seems to like, I think it's like 5 years it's been on the go, but this will be the 4th festival. It just seems to be getting bigger and bigger each year. So, and that's, you can tell that by the size of the headliners as well. So, fair play to John. But how did you get to know John then? Did he see you at a gig, or did you apply to the festival? Did he reach out to you? How did you get onto the bill?
Not 100% sure on that one, actually. I think we got offered. It definitely came in the emails. It was an offer that came over through our band email. And I'm not sure if we've worked with him before, or I don't think we've worked with him before, but you may have seen us at shows if he's kind of like Manchester or, that sort of area based. We played there so many times, like Rebellion's like our second home. If like we play like the majority of our shows in London and Surrey, and if there's another place that we play a hell of a lot, it's up in Manchester. So we've been about, he's probably seen us, and probably, that's why he's reached out. But the offer came in sort of before COVID and stuff, and we just we have to honour that. Absolutely have to honour that. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I mean it's sold out, and then Mr. Johnson decided to loosen the restrictions a wee bit more, and there's more tickets on sale, so there's going to be even more people there. I think it's verging on being sold out again, so I'm certainly looking forward to it as well. This won't be the last time we'll chat either, because Moshville Times and Moshville Radio, we'll have a stall, well, a table at the bar. I didn't have any negotiations as to where this table was going to be, but apparently it's right next to the bar.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to be interviewed, make sure it's early in the day, because make no sense later on at night. You think I talk fast just now? I'll see you at 9 o'clock on Saturday night. But yeah, so Badgerfest looks really, really good. But I've only got a couple of questions left for you guys. I appreciate the time that you've spent with me so far. But before the internet, magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends, but now publications have been replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So do you think that some of the passion's been lost, or do you think the internet's been a good thing for music and a good thing for Harbinger?
But those things still exist. That's the thing. Like, you look at within some subcultures, you've got like a whole lot of hardcore like fanzines and little record labels coming out with doing some really cool stuff for people. Like, just a little quick shout out to Mentally Vexed Records, based in the Midlands. That's a mate of mine who runs that, and he's doing some really cool stuff, like just helping out bands with who seem to, you know, maybe struggle to have the connections to get records pressed, or, you know, cassettes, or getting shows in the Midlands. Mentally Vexed, all over that sort of stuff. So that's great. But I've kind of seen with Kerrang magazine going like digital. You've kind of seen Terrorizer disappear a few years ago. I don't think passion's the thing that's been lost, but I think that I feel like the internet spreads everything so thin.
Yeah,
you haven't got that one go-to place anymore where you kind of get all of your news. So I think maybe it's the fans' engagement is spread so thin that it kind of seems like people are losing their passion. But I think the passion's there, and it definitely exists within the subcultures that we're kind of operating in.
No, I appreciate your answer. Thanks very much for that, Chris. What are your thoughts on that, Joel?
I think one thing that Chris said, which was really important just there, was subcultures. Like, we're quite a big part of the like UK tech metal scene, and then you've got like the hardcore and beatdown scenes, and they've all got their, you know, like online subcultures and forums where people can like share and promote music, which is great. And I think at the moment with like bigger companies, you're getting a lot more shit posts where it's like 10 times Corey Taylor was mad on stage, and it's like, who gives a flying fuck about that? Like, show us some new bands, or like show us some new riffs, or just anything more important than that, because everyone knows about those bigger bands. Everyone's been into them for 10 plus years, and I'm sure there's maybe some like newer kids who like want to get into it more, and then maybe they'll be interested in that. But like, I think there's like Chris also said, it's just so spread out that like people miss a lot of stuff. But if you're part of those subcultures, then you'll probably catch more new and interesting music, new and exciting music too.
I mean, and imagine with Harbinger as well, you've got fans from strange and weird and wonderful places that probably wouldn't have heard of you, like if you were back in the day, like 20 years ago in the 90s and stuff like that, you know. So I mean, back in my time, I'm a wee bit older than you guys. You would send like £1 or £2 away to a band, and then you get a demo tape back, and you get a letter, and you would open it up, and stickers will fly out, and you get a letter from the band, and you listen to a demo, and you would listen to it, and you go, don't know if I like it, but because you have invested in it, you would listen to it again and again, and then make up your mind. But when you say it's like been spread over so thin, you can just go on a streaming website now, Spotify, listen to that 10 seconds, oh no, that band's shit. But because there's another million bands doing the same thing, you just dismiss the band instantly and move on to the next. So I definitely think it's like a double-edged sword, you know. But I grew up in an age when CDs should be burned. It was like, I'm so happy to see that vinyl outsold CDs for the first time in decades, and labels are, like you're saying, doing cassettes again. There's still the nostalgia element there. So maybe I'm just old-fashioned.
I think there's something special to say about vinyls though. Like, I just love having a product that feels substantial, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really want to look at with watch this space in terms of like physical releases for our new stuff. So it should be good.
Well, like I say, you know exactly where to send it. We'll be at Badgerfest. We've also got Moshville Radio, so we've made the contact. You know exactly where we are. Users and abusers. So yes, definitely. but this is the time where I will probably have to start another 40-minute chat on Zoom, because we're going to talk about your instruments now. So we'll start off with yourself, Chris. So what's your bass setup? What did you use for the new recordings then, your pedals and things like that? Oh, you just happen to have it right next to you, right?
To have it, here's one I made earlier. So used the Ibanez Sr Ff800. So it's a fan fret 4-string, and it's not as blurry as it looks on the old camera there. But yeah, beautiful instrument. It's got Bartolini pickups. I had to double check that. And we recorded everything DI, and then it was reamped by Jacob out in Denmark.
I just thought you would be the person that would have 5 strings, you know, just to show off that you are.
I'm not clever enough for that.
No, you used to. You used to have that Fender.
That Fender,
didn't you?
Yeah. No, I just don't need it for Harbinger. Like we only play in drop C. Like contrary to what some people think, like we're not super down tuned or anything. There's no real reason why I need that extended range. I mean, with the fan fret as well, I can whack a 130 gauge on my thickest string there, and it's absolutely fine. It locks in really nicely to that low C. And our stuff doesn't really need too much of the high register there. So it's just not necessary for me.
It was a question I was going to ask, like, what is it you tune yourselves to? But it's drop C, you said, yeah?
Just drop C, yeah, CGCF.
What about
some more on guitar?
What about your pedals and amps that you use?
So there it is. That's it.
Blurry.
Just a line 6 Helix stomp. Got my signal chain is like I can't even remember what it is. I've got a compressor. I've got a distortion similar to Dark Glass. I used to run a Dark Glass Microtube 900, but I can get a similar sound out of this. And then the impulse response that I'm using is a Dark Glass cab impulse response. So I use that, and we've got a wireless pack for the guitar, and we've got in-ear monitors, and we run everything from a big mothership. So everything's digital, everything's in a big rig, and then we just hand over some cables to the sound guy, and that's it. That's us. We're easy.
He sounds a wee bit geeky, Joel. I actually thought he would have like 10, 15 pedals in front of him, but
it's all in a tiny box, man. It's the digital age. It's all just in this beautiful little plastic and metal like box.
That's it. Well, listen, guys, thanks very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Oh, sorry, Joel. Forgot about the drummer there. Nah, I'm only kidding you on. So I take it your electric drum kit is not what you used for the recording then. What's your setup?
No. I actually recently got this just out of pure need of something new. It's a Roland TDX 17 VX. I don't know, so many letters and numbers. It's not anything good for me, to be honest. It does drum stuff. I really like it though. It's the next best thing since a slice of bread. So come on, Roland, come on, hook us up. But no, that's been great because I've been able to just like have no noise in my bedroom. As well, my parents they'll say differently, but for me it's no noise. But I can just lock into my headphones and like practice over songs. It's great. It's a great bit of kit. But live drum wise, or acoustic drums, I'm kind of like trying out new stuff. So I recently picked up a Pearl Masters all maple complete kit, which is in like a champagne sparkle finish. The sizing on that is 10, 12, 16 on the floor. Kick is 22 by 20. It's all maple, so the drums are really, really warm. You get a good amount of warmth from it.
I'm not allowed anywhere near it.
Yeah, he's not allowed to touch it.
I used to put my foot up on the bass drum, you know, to just give it a bit, you know, the rhythm section really locking in. It's not a thing anymore. I'm going to need a footstool.
Yeah. And so yeah, Chris isn't allowed to put his feet on it anymore. My old kit, he used to do it all the time. I was fine with it because that thing was like just a cheap filler kit, which I could just use for touring, which was great.
Yeah.
What the cool thing with like social media nowadays as well is that you get so many posts of just like people showing off like their gear and like their new sounds. And I see so many different posts. And I'm like, oh, I really like that DW drum sound. Oh, I really like that Tama snare. So I'm kind of like, do I want to mix and mash my gear, or like, do I want to stick strictly with Pearl? And at the moment, it's a bit of a mix and mash, but cymbal wise, I'm all Zildjian.
Cool. What size drumsticks do you use?
I use 5Bs, but I'm considering trying out 2Bs, which are compared to 5Bs are they're like just absolute massive tree trunks. Yeah.
Cool. Regarding the snare sound as well, then, have you changed that since your previous releases? Have you found the sound that you've been looking for with this recording, or is it always something that you're having to adjust?
Yeah, it sounds like sent anger.
So
that's what we said. We just said we wanted that sound, and then they were like, "I got you." Now go on, Joel.
It's funny because Lars Ulrich has recently re-released his his signature snare drum with Tama, but in like all matte black to like celebrate the Black Album release for 30 years. And I was just like, I'm not playing Tama anymore, but I really want that snare because it just looks so sick. But I used to play Mapex Black Panther, and the rim on it is like, it's not a die-cast hoop, so it's really round. And when I would hit it, it actually damaged my hand when I was playing. So like I was playing for about a year with just like an injured hand, and like didn't really realize it. I was like, oh, it's just nothing. I'll leave it. And then it eventually built up over time. And then I went to a Periphery masterclass session, which was at my like local music center called Bell Percussion. It's not around anymore because of COVID, but when it was there, it was like the place for me to go because it was so near. And I got to ask Matt like the last question of the session, and I was just like, I'm having trouble with using the same snare that you use. Have you got any advice? And he was just like, oh, you need a snare with a die-cast hoop because they're not rounded, so the stick just sort of like, it doesn't have so much rebound and bounce to it. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll try that. And then I went back to Bell Percussion like a week or so later, and I was like, hey, I need a snare with a die-cast hoop. And they were like, here's 3, just pick one and we can guarantee you it'll be what you need. And I picked out a 13x7 Tama Maple SLP or Sound Lab Project snare, and it cracks so much. Even when you've got it on like a looser medium tuning, it's just so fucking loud. And I can remember like the day that we went to rehearsal when I got the new snare, like I hit it once and everyone was just like, oh, fuck, earbuds in, like that's just fucking so loud. And that's played a good vital role to my sound, definitely. But I am looking to try out some new stuff.
That's it.
There's another little bit to that as well, though. You were rehabilitating that hand injury for quite a while through a lot of COVID. Like COVID kind of gave you the opportunity to like really build up the strength in your wrist and stuff again. So Ricky, here's your headline: Harbinger drummer Joel Scott talks about time in rehab. There you go. There's your headline.
I thought you were going to say something about your wrist comment, so we weren't going to go.
No, that'd be so immature. I'd never say anything like that.
Well, listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate the time that you've taken. Like I say, I will never, ever ask you what Harbinger means or what's your favourite tea or coffee or anything like that. So I appreciate the in-depth interview that we've had. We'll see you at Badgerfest, if not before. Get in contact with us again when you've got a new release. We'll certainly review it at Moshville Times. We'll certainly play it on Moshville Radio. I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do next. So I wish you guys all the best. But where will we find Harbinger on social media before we go?
/Harbinger Riffs for everything, I think it is. Yep.
Cool.
Excellent. At Harbinger Riffs on Instagram, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there you go. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. You know where to find them. Certainly look them up, and looking forward to hearing the new material, guys. So thank you once again. Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
No worries.
Cheers.